Let me tell you the truth. I didn't believe in any of it. Not the quantum field, not healing through thought, not even the idea that we create our reality. But something happened, and after that, I couldn't go back to who I was. I used to wake up feeling like I was already behind, like my life was a to-do list I never signed up for. Most mornings I'd reach for my phone before I even opened my eyes, scrolling through emails or social media, chasing some distraction so I didn't have to face the day. I'd sip my coffee and tell myself I was fine, convincing everyone around me that I was okay. But deep down, I felt disconnected. From people, from purpose, from myself. You know that feeling when everything looks fine on the outside, but inside, you're silently falling apart? That was me, every single day. And no one noticed. I was a master at wearing the "I'm okay" mask. I smiled in meetings, laughed at the right jokes, gave the right answers. I kept telling myself this was just how life is, stressful, tiring, a little empty. I didn't know it then, but I was slowly fading. And honestly, I didn't know how much longer I could keep living like that. Then one night, something just cracked. I can't even tell you exactly why it happened on that particular night. There was no dramatic event, no obvious trigger. It was quiet, just me, alone in my apartment. The TV was off, the room was dark, and in the black mirror of that blank screen I caught a glimpse of my own reflection. For a second, I didn't even recognize myself, and in that hollow silence, a thought hit me hard, like a punch to the gut. I don't know who I am anymore. In that moment, something inside me broke wide open. I slid down onto the floor and I just cried. For the first time in years, I let it all out. Not just the sadness, but all the numbness, all the frustration, all the things I'd been holding in behind that mask. It poured out of me in heaving sobs that I thought would never end. That night, I wasn't trying to fix anything. I wasn't analyzing or fighting or pretending. I just wanted to feel something again, even if it hurt. And as strange as it sounds, that breakdown was the first real thing I had felt in a long, long time. It was like my soul was saying, enough. A few days later, still raw from that night, YouTube randomly suggested a Joe Dispenza video for me. You know the type. Calm voice, big ideas, words like quantum field and coherence and manifestation floating around. Normally I would have rolled my eyes and skipped it. I wasn't into that think positive self-help stuff. In fact, I nearly scrolled right past. But something in me paused. Call it curiosity, call it desperation. All I know is I heard a quiet nudge inside say, just watch 5 minutes. So I gave it 5 minutes, then 5 more. And those first few minutes, they cracked something open in me. It wasn't just what he was saying. It was how he said it. He spoke about things like energy and the mind as if he'd seen a truth that most of us only vaguely feel. There was this sincerity in his voice, like he wasn't lecturing at all. It felt like he was remembering something deep and real. And as I listened, something in me recognized it, like a spark inside whispering, "This is real. Pay attention." I didn't fully understand everything he talked about, brain waves, heart coherence, tuning into new possibilities. It all sounded almost mystical. But a part of me was drawn in. For the first time in ages, I felt a flicker of hope. A thought crossed my mind. What if even a fraction of this is true? What if I can feel better, be better, without running away from myself? I wasn't sure why, but in that moment I decided I was going to find out. Diving into Joe's teachings wasn't a magical, instant transformation. I wanted it to be. After that video, I was hungry for change. I ordered one of his books, started reading about how our thoughts create our reality. It all sounded incredible, and honestly, overwhelming. Because if it was true, it meant I had been creating this emptiness, this anxiety, by living in the same thoughts and feelings every day. That was a hard pill to swallow. Part of me resisted it. It couldn't be my fault that I felt so lost. Could it? Still, I kept going. I figured, I've tried feeling numb and hopeless. Might as well try something else. So I sat down to do one of his meditations. That first time was rough. I sat cross-legged on my living room floor, the only light a faint glow from the streetlights outside. His calm voice was guiding me to become aware of the space around my body and to focus on my heart, and my mind was rebelling. It was firing off thoughts like, "This is stupid. Did you lock the door? What's for dinner?" I must have peaked at the time every 2 minutes. 10 minutes in, I was ready to quit, convinced this was a waste of time. But I'd promised myself I'd try, so I pushed through that session. And something surprising happened in the last few minutes. There was this brief moment where my thoughts got quiet. It was like a sudden peace washed over me for just a few seconds. It felt like the air around me got a little softer, my body a little lighter. When I opened my eyes, a tear rolled down my cheek. I wasn't sobbing this time. It was a different kind of tear. I think it was relief, maybe just a hint that something could actually change. Of course, the next day my skepticism came roaring back. I remember literally saying out loud, "This is ridiculous. It can't be this easy." I was so used to feeling powerless that the idea of fixing my life by sitting quietly with my eyes closed felt almost laughable. I mean, who does that, right? It felt too simple, or too good to be true. I also felt this weird resistance, like a part of me didn't want to change, as if I had gotten comfortable in my misery. There were days I avoided the meditations altogether, finding excuses, telling myself it wasn't going to work anyway. But every time I actually sat down and went through the breathing, the focusing, the letting go, I came out feeling just a tiny bit different. Sometimes I felt calmer for an hour or two. Sometimes I felt frustrated because my mind wouldn't shut up. Yet, slowly, an idea was sinking in. Maybe this was like training a muscle. Maybe my mind was just really out of shape from years of stress and self-doubt. And if so, of course it was going to fight back at first. So I kept showing up, half skeptical, half hopeful. I'd listened to Joe talk about breaking the habit of being yourself, about how we can observe our thoughts and not let them control us. And even though part of me was rolling my eyes, another part of me was starting to get it. I'd catch myself during the day feeling an old emotion like worry or anger, and for once I'd actually notice it. I'd think, "Oh, there's that old anxiety again," instead of just drowning in it. I was starting to become the observer of my own thoughts and feelings rather than their victim. That realization was equal parts empowering and unsettling. Empowering because maybe I wasn't broken after all, I just had to relearn how to use my mind. Unsettling because if I wasn't broken, then I had no excuse left not to change. And then, bit by bit, things began to shift. Not in a burst of lightning or some grand epiphany all at once. It was subtle, almost easy to miss if I wasn't paying attention. One morning, about a month into this new routine, I woke up and realized my chest didn't feel as heavy. That familiar dread of facing the day, it was just gone that day. I almost couldn't believe it. I lay there scanning my feelings, thinking something was wrong because I didn't feel that weight I was so used to. I started noticing little changes in how I reacted to life. For example, I got stuck in traffic one day after work. Normally I'd be cursing under my breath, tension pounding in my temples. But that day, I remember I just took a breath. A deep, intentional breath like the ones I practiced during meditation. And the frustration ebbed away in seconds. I actually turned up the radio and found myself singing along to a song like I didn't have a care. Halfway through, I caught myself and almost laughed out loud. Who was this person singing in a traffic jam instead of seething? It felt good. Another morning I stepped outside and saw the sky, really saw it, for the first time in ages. The colors were more vivid than I remembered. The air felt cool and fresh on my skin, and I caught myself smiling at the simple fact that the sun was rising, and I was here to see it. It hit me that for years I must have been walking around half asleep, stuck in my head, missing all these little beautiful things. Now it was like the volume on life had been turned up. Colors looked brighter, food tasted better. I found myself laughing more, like actually laughing, not that polite chuckle I used to fake. And people, you might not believe this, people around me started to act differently too. It started with small things. A colleague at work remarked, "You seem really upbeat lately. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it." I didn't even know what to say because I wasn't doing anything different on the outside. But apparently, something inside me was radiating outward. Even strangers were friendlier. I remember standing in line for coffee and the barista actually struck up a warm conversation with me, which had never happened before. It was like some invisible signal changed and the world was responding to it. I won't pretend everything was suddenly perfect. Life is still life, and I still had hard days. But the ratio was shifting. There were more good days than bad now, and even on the hard days, I felt like I had a lifeline. I had tools, breathing, focusing on what I wanted instead of what I feared, stepping back and observing my own mind when it tried to spiral. I started to trust in this process, little by little, because I could see the evidence showing up around me. I was rewiring my mind, and my life was beginning to rewire itself to match. No one really talks about the grit that healing requires. The doubt, the loneliness, the inconvenient, unsexy work of facing yourself. The days when nothing seems to change, when you wonder if you're crazy to even try. I wish someone had told me this sooner, that those messy, uncomfortable days are actually when you're getting it right. Because that's where the real magic lives, right there in the messy middle of all that doubt and resistance. If you're watching this and any of this feels all too familiar, maybe you're in that place right now. Maybe you feel lost or broken or just buried under life. If so, let me tell you something clearly. You're not broken. You're just buried, and it's not too late to dig yourself out. You are not too far gone, and you're definitely not crazy for wanting more out of life. I started this journey not believing in any of these teachings. Quantum fields, meditation, manifesting your future self. It all sounded like a fairy tale, but I kept going, and I slowly became the proof I was looking for. I didn't believe in Joe Dispenza's teachings until I became one of them. The day I broke down on that floor was the day something new began in me. I thought I was falling apart, but I was really falling open. So if you're listening to this, maybe this is your moment, the one you look back on as the start of your own story. Because if someone like me, cynical, beaten down, basically numb to life, can find a way out of that darkness, then I know you can too. Your past does not define you, and your future is not set in stone. Everything you need is already inside you, waiting for you to listen. I'm not going to tell you to believe any of this blindly. Hell, I didn't. I questioned every step, but I felt it. I experienced it, and no one can ever take that away from me. So here I am, living a life I never thought I could. It's not magic, yet it feels a little magical. Not a miracle, but in many ways it feels like one. And it all started the day I stopped trying to fix myself and decided to finally meet myself instead. If you're still here, maybe something inside you is ready to meet you too. And I'm never going back.